Afternoon, everybody. Give it just 1 minute to see, because we've got lots of people still joining us. I will start with a little bit of housekeeping. So this is being recorded. So if you prefer to have your camera off, please do. If that makes you feel more comfortable, no problem. There will be the opportunity to ask questions at the end. So there is a Q&A. So if you'd like to pop any questions into there, we can cover them off. Okay, well, 1 minute in, we'll make a start. So this webinar today is to give you a deep dive into the utility reports that are available through Emapsite, be presented by myself, Fiona. I am the core sales lead, which basically means I look after the team who look after you, our clients who use the map shop. Paul is the product manager responsible for the Emapsite and iDocs data products portfolio. He previously had 8 years at the Ordnance Survey, where he was responsible for digital supply. So you are in great hands with him. Our agenda for today, I'll explain why we partner with Technics for utility reports, why the service is essential, and then Paul will talk you through the product range, the functionality, and the typical use cases, and then we'll have time for questions. So as I said, please do pop them in the Q&A. Should be around 30 minutes. So Technics Group, why have we chosen to work with them? They've been long-time partners of Emapsite since 2015, so for about 10 years. And they've been surveying and mapping utility networks for over 35 years. And they provide an in-depth technical knowledge, capability and experience in the utility market. They're one of the UK's leading surveyors, so it's not just these reports. They offer comprehensive services including ground investigation and geotechnical surveys. And the Technics chairman, Graham Mills, was also chair of the Survey Association for many years, so they are widely respected as experts in their field. Emapsite selected Technics because their specific expertise complements our own software and geospatial capabilities. And whilst Technics provide the technical expertise and technical oversight, Emapsite created a workflow management system that we both use to collate and publish our range of utility reports. And Emapsite makes these reports available to our customers in many markets and often in combination with other data sets. The software generates draft reports and a final version in line with the term of delivery, so that could be 5 or 10 days, and these are then made available for you to download. Our system also manages the disbursement costs, and that's all done in the background, so it makes for a seamless experience for you. So why utility reports important and why order our version? Astonishingly enough, 1 in 65 holes dug result in an accidental strike of a utility asset. 1 in 65 is a ridiculous stat. I mean, it's something you'd love to have those odds on the lottery. So you can see why it's so important to understand those underground assets. So the reports provide critical insight to reduce both financial loss and ultimately save lives. And there are over 14,000 utility searches carried out every day. Ordering our report removes the painful alternative of doing that yourself. and that could be contacting and chasing up anything up to 150 utility providers, which is no small task. Knowing who to contact and where they operate in the first place is complicated enough. Our report aggregates the utility provider presence or lack of, and both have value for any site in Great Britain, and the value of a utility report has different use cases depending on what you're doing. So whether it's planning an excavation, developing a site, advising your client on a property transaction, so that, yeah, many use cases. Our service is automated and fast, getting the right inquiry to the right place. And the automation reduces a bottleneck where individual utility providers handle requests manually. So our automated platform will get a utility report completed for you faster. And finally, we've built a range of purpose-specific reports that have fixed prices and importantly include all disbursement costs. And you'll see these in the report section of the map shop, or for larger areas, you'll see those on your quote. So what do you get for your money? Let me hand over to Paul.
Hello, Fiona. Good morning, everybody, or hello, everybody. The primary purpose of these reports is, as you might know, is to indicate the presence or not of utility provider assets at a site of interest. And that's based on recorded information held by the asset owners. They're intended to guide subsequent activity at the site. And to that end, these reports satisfy the requirements of British Standards PAS 128 Level D. That's the desktop report. Most people say it's the initial screening report, intended to guide attendance at the site to verify the information, usually through a series of visual inspections and non-invasive surveys using techniques such as ground penetration radar. So while we provide the desktop reports, we can put you in touch with our partner Technics to do some of these other activities. Also, the Health and Safety Executive Regulations, HSG 47, avoiding danger from underground services, which provides advice and guidance for those involved in planning, managing, carrying out work near underground services, including locating and identifying buried services. And of course, the Construction Design Management Regulations, which requires relevant information to be provided to project duty holders. The new Roads and Streetworks Act, which requires those working with underground apparatus to be controlled by competent people. So clearly possessing the information is going to be key here. So the product range we offer starts from a range of utility singles reports, just providing insight into one type of utility company asset that might be present. We have a surprising amount of these, interested in these, perhaps because of the price starting from £75. But mostly customers require more comprehensive reports, such as those provided by our essentials or our premium products, which describe assets believed to be present from a variety of providers. And these are available with standard and what we call accelerated delivery options. And then we have a digitized report, which combines all the utility company asset mapping into a single CAD file, of course, removing the burden for the in-house CAD teams. And we provide a PDF version for non-CAD users, perhaps for putting up on the site wall. The most popular of these by far are the standard delivery period utility essentials and utility premium reports, which we'll focus on here. Starting with the Essentials report. So all our reports are offered at a fixed price for site areas up to 500 metres in length or width, so that's 25 hectares. That's about 33 football pitches, or now that the cricket season has started, about 17 times the size of the playing surface at Lord's Cricket Ground in London. Of course, we provide reports of much larger site areas, and I'll come back to these shortly. So Utility Essentials provides details of the main 5 utility types: gas, electric, water, sewers, Openreach. Of course, that's the BT Group business, which runs the UK digital telephone and broadband network, of course. And the turnaround time is usually about 5 days. And I've checked the KPIs this morning, and well over 95% were returned within 5 days. Now, the same day version of this report is usually supplied on the same day if ordered before midday, or within 24 hours if you decide to have lunch first. Although it's worth mentioning that sometimes different utility providers have different business processes, which occasionally means we prepare and issue a draft report first and follow up with the final report when all the providers have responded. Moving on to the utility premium report. This provides asset information in 10 working days, or 5 for the fast track version, for those main 5 categories, plus additional categories such as the newer broadband companies involved in the rollout of Project Gigabit. That's the government project to enable access to very high speed broadband services in hard to reach communities. Oil and fuel pipelines, such as the UK pipeline originally opened in the late 60s to connect Shell Stanlow, where I started work, with Shellhaven in the Thames Estuary, and now owned by a consortium of ESSA, BP, Shell, Valero and Total. Of course, there's transport networks such as Network Rail and district energy systems, of which there are about 17,000 of these in the UK, pumping steam or hot water through insulated pipes to homes, businesses and public buildings. And then the multi-utility independent providers who aim to deliver a more personalised utility connection service. If you suspect any of these providers is likely to be present at the site, then the premium version is the report to choose. Moving on to the digitised report, this collates the mapping provided by the utility companies into a DWG format file for using CAD systems. And as I said earlier, that saves in-house teams potentially hours of work. We also provide a PDF for non-CAD users. For these reports, utility mapping is refined into a uniform line style with additional asset attribution depending on the level of detail required. So the asset owner, plant voltages, joint boxes, flow directions, pressures, valves, etc. And the level of detail required may affect the turnaround time and the price. Now, that's particularly the case in residential areas, so we prefer to discuss the requirements for our digitised reports with our customers and agree a delivery time and a price before an order is placed. Now, site mapping is obviously OS master map topography layer, and you can apply your own master map topography layer license if you have one, or Fiona and the colleagues will be delighted to license that data for you. So let's have a closer look at the contents of the essentials and premium reports. Naturally, the reports all start with a summary page, which I'll come back to in a second, along with the site map. That's Ordnance Survey mapping, of course, and overviews of the utility providers who have confirmed they have assets at the site, or can maybe confirm they don't have assets at the site, and in some cases, in some rare cases, don't respond at all. That's the amber colour. We'll keep chasing those for you until they do provide a report, an input. So the summary page does exactly what it says on the tin. It identifies the type of assets that providers believe are present at the site of interest and the date the information was provided, which is quite important. The assets that are presented there are presented with a red triangle. You might just be able to make that out in that image, and not presented integrated by a green tick. You can also see the number of providers that have been contacted, in this case 23, excuse me. Although for utility premium reports, it's not unusual to contact somewhere up to 150, 160 providers. And of course, they return considerable amounts of information. In effect, the summary page is the navigation gateway to that detail, with hyperlinks to the various detail sections and links returning from those sections from every page in the report back to the summary. And it's a simple feature like this that many of our long-standing customers say saves them considerable time in reading and understanding the report contents. Such as this example from National Grid. As you can see, this indicates the recorded position of their assets, or what they believe them to be, along with useful guidance for safe working with their asset with or near their assets, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. Of course, there's another example here from Severn Trent Water. In this case, we combine waters and sewers into one category. I know others do those separately. On the left, you've got the clean water plan. Right in the top right-hand corner, you might be able to make out there's an asset line there. And on the right, the wastewater plan. And then finally, back to electricity. This is Scottish Power, who operate in Shropshire, Cheshire, Merseyside, North Wales, and now, of course, in the Northwest, following the acquisition of Electricity Northwest back in October. This example is also useful in illustrating how utility providers handle larger areas. So this is an overview of the site, as you can see, and then they split each of the sections of the site into separate pages, which are then presented at a larger scale to see the detail more clearly. And talking of larger sites, then we serve many customers whose sites can be considerably larger than 25 hectares. And this example you can see this is a pipeline project somewhere where the site length is nearly 5 kilometers. So it's by no means the largest site we've processed. Naturally, these take longer to prepare. They incur greater costs from the utility providers and are subject to quotation, which includes agreement on the delivery timescale. Now that concludes a kind of whistle-stop tour of the utility reports, and with that, I'll hand back to Fiona.
Thanks, Paul. Great detail in that. So I just wanted to touch on the best way to order these because it does have an effect on the cost. So I'd recommend thinking really carefully about your area of interest. When the providers prepare and price the data and the disbursements that go into the reports, that can vary, and some of that is based on the density of the information that they're returning. So have a think about what you require for the project. So utility infrastructure is commonly found in road verges, railway embankments. So bear that in mind when you're drawing your site boundary to make sure that you don't include them unnecessarily. Although they aren't the biggest lever in the cost. I think Paul touched on residential areas, and we see the biggest increase in cost coming from clients including even small areas of residential within their site selection. So I've given that example on the left there. That, I mean, those two reports, if you were looking at a project to do in that central area, if you drawn those two different sites, they would have vastly different costs because roads and residential have been included in that. But of course, it could be outside of your boundary that is actually the interesting part to you, looking to see what there could be to connect to. So if you're doing a smaller project, do make that area of interest larger so that you get a good view of everything that's within the area. And if you've got any questions, myself and the team are always happy to help you out with quotes. So to summarise, the advantages of the Emapsite utility reports that we've developed, the software, the systems, professional services that we think underpin the best product in the market. These reports can save lives, as we said, and large fines. 1 in 65 strike rate is, incredibly high. And secondly, ordering one removes the need to search and chase the providers yourself, which is a painful and time-consuming overhead. And the service is almost fully automated and aggregates the underground asset presence, and that's for any site in Great Britain. So therefore it will satisfy due diligence when you're advising your property, your clients on whether that's a property transaction or site development. The ordering process is easy. The report delivery is as fast as you can get, and it's all for a known fixed price with no hidden extras. And finally, our product value is underpinned by that Technics industry expertise, and for anybody that uses Emapsite regularly, great customer service. So thank you for listening to Paul and I. Let's see if we've got any questions. So can you provide a report if it's over 25 hectares or 500 meters in length? Yeah, I think Paul touched on that. So yeah, we can certainly organise a quote for you. When you draw the area in the reports application, if the area is too large for it to price up automatically for you, there'll be a button to press a quote that'll come through to us, and we'll be in contact with you, and we will, help you evaluate the site selection to get it to be exactly what you need it to be. Disbursement costs, yes, yeah. I mean, we touched on that a few times. I think that's really important. The disbursement costs are all included. Okay. What are the advantages over sites like LS Bud where you can get free information? Yep, you absolutely can get the information from LS Bud free of charge. However, they can take far longer to respond to you. They won't have all of the utilities that are in the premium report. They don't go out to all of the same suppliers. And yeah, limitation on area, limitation on suppliers, and extra time. So if you need something quickly, that same day turnaround, that can't really be beaten. Okay. What about low density, vast areas, countryside for renewable projects? So yeah, I mean, we do deal with these, and the providers will come back with all of the information. The digitization can be supplied for GIS or CAD. So yeah, that's no problem at all. Are utilities contact provided in the report?
Generally speaking, they are, yeah.
Yeah, they all are. Yeah, so you'll see their full response with their contact details within that. What kind of level of details are we talking about on the surveys? Lee, I'd probably suggest drop me an email and I can send you a sample report so that you can see exactly the level of detail. But everything will be against backdrop mapping that you'll be able to see really good detail within it. But I'd suggest I send you a sample. Claire, so yeah, the on-screen price is only for the report and the PDF, but we can get a quote for you for the digitization of the report. There's different levels of digitization. So again, I've got a really good document I can send you which lists the different levels of digitization, and then we can get you quotes on all three or just one of the levels depending on what information you need. So all of the detail is within the report, but say for instance you wanted to know within the digitization which direction, if it was water, which direction it's flowing in, or the voltage of a system, then we can show that on the digitization, but that has different levels with the different costs with the different levels. You can't get the DWG without the report because the DWG is created from the report, so it is done by hand. But also one of the advantages of that is you can wait till you get the report and then decide what you want digitized. So we can give you a quote for digitization at the beginning, but if there were certain areas that were more of interest or certain utilities, then yeah, we can tailor that digitization to be exactly what you want, but it comes from the report, so you have to have the report first.
So
Yeah,
the answer to yes.
yeah, on the Class D Pass 128, yeah, Paul touched on that. So yeah, that's all covered within that. And again, that's listed on the sample report if you'd like to see one, Matt.
And
Have
if
I
you'd like
missed?
the type C, type B stuff, then Technics is a great partner for that.
Yeah. Have I missed anything? I think that's all the questions.
I've got one here from. Go on. I was just saying, I've got one here. I don't know how this has happened, but I've got one directly that says, "Are public rights of way included?" So, do you want to pick that, or shall I? I'll
Yeah,
just go from it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, so the utility report search for utility assets within a selected site of interest, rather than searching per se for public rights of way. Of course, they might be coincidence, but public rights of way is not the focus of the report. And having said that, we have a public rights of way data set, which I'm sure Fiona will be delighted to talk to you about.
Yeah, absolutely. What surprised me in your premium report that are not on LS Bud? I must admit I don't know that off the top of my head. But Callum, if you want to drop me an email, I'll look into that for you and send you the information back.
We can send a premium sample, and you
Yeah,
can.
yeah, you'd be
Yeah.
able to see that yourself then, yeah.
There's one here about Newer. Newer, is it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, if
So
you take that one away, Paul.
Newer, that's an interesting subject, and I'm sure many people on the call are familiar with the development, the government digital service with Atkins Realis as the doing the proof of concept, etc. And now that's at least Ordnance Survey has been identified as the operator of NUR, and of course the most recent involvement of MI5 or whatever their new title is in terms of the security of that information. So that moves apace, and other opportunities for whether who can have access to the data and who can't. So that's all in place and between now and July. So we wait to hear from that. Now, as a one of a handful of strategic partners of Ordnance Survey, then we're quite closely plugged into that activity, and we'll be delighted to update people as and when we have something to say.
And I've got a question from Lee. Can you send the slideshow with the samples too, please? I've actually got a two-page document which is a lot more concise than all the information that's within the slideshow. So I can send you that, and then you can let me know if you still want some more information or if you'd like the slides as well. But yeah, I've got a two-page summary, which I can drop you over with the samples. We do, well, if anybody wants to, you can go to our website, and we do have the samples on there. Thank you, Leon. He's just put a link to the page on our website within the Q&A chat. So you can download some samples yourself there if you want to and read a bit more about it. Or reach out to myself or one of the team. A lot of you will have Nancy or Connor as account managers, but all of us would be happy to hear from you and answer any questions or help you out if you've got a large tender which is involving a utility report. We work with a lot of our clients quite closely to help them get the right data for that. So if there aren't any more questions, thank you so much, and thank you for the questions and your time today. And yeah, look forward to speaking to you all at some point in the future.